Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, Married at First Sight fans, we are going to discuss what is at the core and the demise of the three marriages that we're talking about in this video. We are pretty much in the midway or almost toward the end of the season, and this is their commitment video at the same time. Being in a situation that it went a little bit differently than expected due to the pandemic and what happened with C-19. So actually their commitment or stay married, they went well beyond that. But we're going to discuss what happened with these marriages. And if you're new here, smash the subscribe buttons and continue to get this type of content. And we're going to jump right into this video. So the first couple we're going to discuss is Olivia and Brett. And for those that did watch the show, as you well know, they ended their tenure with the show. And so I kind of want to go back and revisit and summarize probably what had happened with this particular couple. I mean, honestly, the intentions, I think, coming into this that they both had was genuine. They wanted to look for a life partner. But what ended up happening is that their ideal of what marriage looked like was totally opposite of what they lived every day. Do I think this marriage could have worked? I actually think that it could have, but because of the fact that they got in their own way and in each other's way, I don't think that they would have. This is where we are at this point. So, I mean, from early on, I mean, honestly, Brett, in his vows and from what his family had said about him, is that she knew from up front that this man had a sarcastic view of life, that he was brutally blunt, he was straightforward, and in some cases, people may look at that abrasive. Other people may look at that as, you know what, I would rather for a person to tell me, exactly the absolute truth versus what I want to hear. And honestly, this is the type of guy that Olivia was dealing with in regards to Brett. Now, some people can't handle his sarcasm either. So I think somewhere in the long run, they could have met in the middle in regards to, you know, how they dealt with each other on that level. He could have maybe dialed it back a little bit, but then maybe he would felt that's not being true to himself. And at the same time, I do think that there was some unrealistic expectations Olivia put on him as well, which made it look like she was a nitpick and a nag. And in some instances, I would agree with that statement. I honestly think that Brett wanted to make this work. I mean, early on in the season, we didn't see a lot of the intimate scenes. And there was some contradictory that had gone on in regards to the perception of Brett versus and what Olivia was saying versus what was going on behind the scenes. And do I think that there were fundamental issues that they definitely didn't have a match in? Absolutely. Do I think maybe she was open to having kids? Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think that she projected that in her future. Whereas Brett wanted children. That's one huge thing that people in a marriage have to agree upon. The other thing is how they looked at finances. With these two, Olivia makes the money. She's a nurse practitioner. They make a huge six-figure salary because they're almost at the credentials of being a physician. So she made the money. She want to spend it. On the flip side, he's like, you know what, I had to save, I'm thrifty, I need to take the money and invest it and build a future. That's great as well, but they couldn't meet in the middle on that subject. And just with those fundamental differences, as Brett said in the end, honestly, that was their demise. They couldn't compromise on those issues. And when you don't have being able to compromise on children, finances, you know, how to look at your future, is going to be a big problem. And I mean, even the cats were fighting with each other. I mean, it was It was crazy. She nitpicked him over everything. And Brett, outside of his sarcastic humor, I honestly saw him trying to do some things and make this work. I didn't like the issue with how Olivia projected in one week that Brett was being not nice behind the scenes, but putting on the front when he mentioned, oh, how great her smile was. And then the following week, she says that he was actually really nice in private, but then not the sarcastic, cold person on camera. And I'm like, which one is it? You know, I just honestly think that her perception of what marriage looked like was definitely not what she actually thought it was going to be when she was actually with Brett. I honestly think that the two of them could have made this work, but they didn't try in regards to meeting in the middle and having some compromise. I think that was their demise. Outside of the fundamental issues, could it work with the children's situation? Maybe, but if she really didn't want to have kids and he did, that's strike one. With the finances, if she's really going to spend a lot of money and he wants to save for his golden years, strike two. And then the other issue with, the nagging and the sarcasm that he has. I mean, if that's who he is and her approach to life is, I want to travel, I hang out with my friends. I mean, even the other situation we saw on Wednesday night, she downplayed his fears with C-19. Everybody in that moment in March and April was scared, and even with her being on the front line, she saw exactly what this looks like. Her opportunity there was to say, okay, you know what, let's sit down and have a conversation. I'll let you know what I see, and give him a view instead of downplaying what his feeling was on that. Oh, what do you mean? Don't be scared about that. Show him why he shouldn't if you felt that way. Have a conversation. Say, listen, this is what I see every day. Let me break it down to you. She didn't even want to do that. He asked her to come over to the house and maybe see, if we can, because we got to figure out how we're going to do our living arrangements. She didn't want to do that. He was concerned about her safety and probably her parents' safety, being that she worked in a hospital, whether she was going to safely not pass this virus or whatever. Disregarded that. Then she come home, you took all the food. He was like, I ate all the food. You've been gone. And then he was, what? I actually think he did the right thing in breaking this off rather than leading her on and saying, oh, yeah, we can try to make this work, and truly in his heart, he really didn't want to be there. And he knew he was done. So, and honestly, I know a lot of fans didn't like how he did that, but would you rather him lead her on knowing that he wasn't interested? So I think he was, absolutely right in cutting his losses. It was past the 8 weeks, so he had the opportunity to do so. And for Olivia to think like, oh my God, how can this happen? You need to go back and take a look at everything that's happened in this season in regards to your marriage. It speaks for itself. I'm not absolving Brett because, honestly, his sarcasm is what it is. Is it a way to communicate? Was he stuck in his ways? Is he very methodical? Absolutely. However, I really think he tried a little bit more than she did. The insecurity comment, was there some validity to that? Possibly. Because if she says, are you truly interested in continuing to pursue this marriage, and even talk to Pastor Cal, and he's like, yeah, if you are willing to, and you're like, well, you gotta want to. He's trying. He's meeting you midway in this situation, and I'm glad Pastor Cal and even Dr. Pepper called her out. Yeah, so Olivia just needs to go back and look at this past season and see what she can learn from this. From what I understand, moving forward, Brett is in a new relationship and they seem happy. He's into dog fostering at this point because there was some stuff, the softer side of him as well. They probably could have did this, but you know, hey, obviously Brett is with someone that he has a connection with, and best wishes to the both of them. Let's move on to our second couple, which is Christina and Henry. And this is, if I don't know if you guys remember when the experts were putting the couples together, this was the brainchild of Dr. Pepper. And Pastor Kyle was saying how much he totally disagreed with putting these two together because of the fact that they were both extremely passive individuals, that they need an aggressive partner to really bring the other out. And, you know, Dr. Pepper was like, oh no, I know they have what it takes to make it work. Dr. Pepper, this is the end result. I mean, both of them, the two of them are extremely introverted. They are looking for partners who's going to inspire things out of them. They're not assertive when it comes to making moves on their partner. I mean, I don't know how Dr. Pepper thought that this was work. Christina is like, I need him to be that guy to step up and tell me how I look and how attracted he is and if he's interested. And, you know, Henry is that guy is just like, oh, well, if they like me, they like me. I don't, you know, I'm not that expressive. And I'm like, I'm going to call BS on that, Henry, because you can express your opinions to everybody else but Christina. And again, that comes out later in the season. But I honestly think that there is zero compatibility with these two. I told you the 3 issues that I had with Brett and Olivia. My demise with this couple is that there's just no physical connection with these two. They can't even have a decent, full conversation with each other. Not even talking about the other things with intimacy, mental connection, even as a friendship. I don't even see these two as friends. I just don't. And I mean, Christina issue with production, and it's like, Christina, granted, I do agree, as I spoke with on my other videos with reality TV, is that production has the goal of creating the most drama as possible for views. So they're going to shape shift. However, you signed up for the show, Christina. We said the same thing about Brandon last season. So production is part of this. She had issues with production. And okay, really, I mean, help me out here. Can you tell me what to say to this man? He's not opening up. And honestly, Henry, I know that you can have conversations, even on Unfiltered. Karen worked with Henry at a different hospital. And they know each other. And Karen says he's a great guy. He's pretty cool. So I know he can be that cool person. It's just that there's no connection with these two. And I'm glad that Dr. Pepper, toward the end of the season, actually addressed this. I mean, honestly, Dr. Pepper needs to kind of take accountability for putting these two together because they just didn't work. I mean, there's issues about her living situation, her honesty on that. I mean, I don't know what that is. And experts, when you tenured these people, did you look at their place of residency? I don't know. I mean, this is Married at First Sight in New Orleans. Does she live in New Orleans? Honestly, Henry, this is something, instead of you sitting on for 10 weeks, you should have actually had a conversation about in detail with Christina, not blindsided. Same type of blindside he did with Amani, saying what he said. Amani took it back, and then we had that whole altercation about the whole genuineness, the confidence. Christina threw passive-aggressive digs at Henry. Henry just, he clams up. I mean, it's just, it was a catastrophe waiting to happen. They're just not compatible. She needs that guy that's going to give her words of affirmation. He needs that person that's going to incite or inspire him to come out of his shell. And Christina does not do that for him. So they're still on the show. We got a couple more episodes to go. We'll see what happened with these two. All right, let's move on to our final couple in this video, Karen and Miles. Here's my issue with Married at First Sight with this particular couple. The show is called Married at First Sight, not Married at First Sight. Let me give you a heads up, though. I don't understand how Married at First Sight can undermine their original goal and mission of the show by allowing that text to get back to Karen on her wedding day. She got an unfair advantage to know who Miles' background, IG, whatever it is, and he knew nothing about her. He came in with the intentions of being who he is, you know, being that caring, gentle guy, and Karen, because she was presented with information, automatically predisposed herself to, oh my God, he's young. Oh my goodness, he's emotional. I don't know if I can deal with that type of guy. She put into question his masculinity. And over the period of time, Miles took all of those darts and still continued to be the man that he needed to be in a married relationship. Caring for her, helping her, massaging her feet, cooking for her, fixing her car, you know, making sure that she had a soft place to land when he come home, being able to share intimate details about his past, his depression. And what he got in return was passive-aggressive digs, calling him a child, calling him my stranger. I don't feel like I'm married to you. I mean, it's like, I don't see how he made it this far. And the experts didn't help the situation by letting her get away with it. Dr. Viviana, oh yeah, let's just take sex off the table. Now, granted, he doesn't have any rights to push issues with regards to, you know, sexual choices, but you got to build intimacy to get to the core of a marriage relationship. And, honestly, his tolerance level is a lot more than most men out here, because I'm telling you, most guys would have been like, you know what, I'm not putting up with this. I mean, really, it's demeaning, it's emasculating, and then calling into question his masculinity. Karen, there's a lot of guys out here who are emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, disrespectful, got side chicks and everything. And I know what you came out of with, the ex having a baby on you. Your father didn't show up to the wedding. I'm wondering, what examples have you had that, like Miles said, she's not ready for a progressive, an emotional progressive man, or something like that, he said. And I'm glad that Dr. Pepper called her out. She said, we've been watching you. We've been seeing what's going on. And to call him effeminate and things like that, that would be taken back by any man. And Miles is getting tired. He's at his breaking point. When we got to the recommitment day, he said, if I had to make a decision today, I would be done. And she was shocked by that. And then using the whole, well, he called me sis. Okay, girl, you're giving him sis vibes. I'm his wife, okay? But you treating him my stranger, child. What do you expect? The energy that you're giving off is what he's receiving. And he's been a lot more tolerant than to be expected. And the moment that, Dr. Pepper called you out, the moment that Miles decided to stand up for himself, now you feel like you've been victimized. And it's so unfortunate, because she got to see what's happening here. It's been all about her. Miles put her at the highest level of priority, which he should do as a husband. But instead, did she make him a priority in the process? I mean, this guy, she is a frontline worker working at the hospital. He's running bath water after her long days at work, making sure she had breakfast in the morning before work, making sure she had dinner on the table after the long days. He's looking for intimacy from her, just to stretch his hand, and her body language is like, I don't want to be bothered, leave me alone. And you worried about, I want to see him, what it looks like to be depressed. He's bored all the time. He's an educator. Schools were closed. Everybody was at home. Okay, so I'm hoping that, the demise in this situation, if it falls apart, because they're still on the show, they actually have a few more weeks as well, is going to be her preconceived notions of what a real man looks like in a relationship. So I'm not saying Miles should have spoken up for himself a lot sooner, but we're here where we are. So, and you know what? I forgot about that other comment. Not this past episode, but the episode before last, when they were on the swings doing the two truths and a lie. And Karen made that statement when she automatically assumed that the truth was that Miles didn't learn how to swing until he was 12. And she said it would explain a lot. You can't keep doing that and not think that this man isn't going to get tired. So I hope that they can turn this around. I really would like to see the best for this couple, but we will see. All right, so if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. If, again, you are new here, subscribe. Continue to get more content. I provide content on romance, reality TV. The Bachelorette is coming up on Tuesday. Otherwise, we will see you next time.